of 2019. And I was white again, 2 in a row, which was convenient, but man, I just finished this 58 move draw against a higher rated player. And I was playing against another higher rated player. And yeah, I was exhausted and had almost no energy this game. I just tried to play moves that looked relatively natural and didn't think too hard about almost anything. Um, but at the same time, it's funny because while I wasn't calculating and I wasn't thinking too hard about positional concepts, I was still using a lot of time on the clock. So I was under time pressure this whole game, but I wasn't thinking about the right things or whatever. Like the whole game felt off for me. So he plays the Slav, and the Semi-Slav accelerated without moving either of the knights. And here I like to play e4, which is called the Marshall Gambit. And I guess it's called a gambit because in the main line, they go d takes, and you take back with a knight, and then bishop b4 check, and you're supposed to go bishop d2, and then queen takes d4, and this is the sacrifice, right? You lose a pawn here. And it's complicated and interesting, but almost no one knows this main line as black. So you usually end up getting positions like this where they play knight f6, and this is usually pretty good for white. And I actually did feel like I got a great position out of the opening, because after taking here and knight f3 and developing our pieces, like look at the position, like look at my bishop compared to his bishop, look at my knight compared to his knight. Like, I couldn't ask for much better in terms of the opening. I mean, it's not completely winning or anything. In fact, white just has a tiny little advantage compared to the according to the computer. But still, I felt like I was fine here. We both castle, and this is where things start to go wrong. He plays e5, which is fine. This is not bad for him. It's bad for me because my instinct here is just to trade. And as soon as I start trading, his knight can come back, and his bishop comes out, and it's bad. So I lose whatever advantage I might have had here. And I felt like I was doing fine because one of my rooks was developed, my bishop was developed, and his was not. But all this doesn't really mean much in terms of real advantage that I could actually take care of. And I'm starting to lose my advantage now, according to the computer. Black's fully equalized now, and okay, so from here I come up with this plan, and most of my moves from here on out were motivated by this same plan. This really faulty plan because if I could have followed the plan word for word with what I'm about to tell you, it would have worked great. But the problem is that I wasn't able to do every little piece of the plan. The plan was to trade all the major pieces, and then get all my pawns on dark. While at the same time getting all my pawns on dark squares, so that his pawns are targets, and my pawns are not able to be attacked by his bishop. And this would have been great if I could have traded all the major pieces off, but I could only trade off 2 of the 3 pairs of major pieces. So this is what happens. We go here. I get out of the pin. He goes here to protect his h7 pawn. And I started gaining some space, and I'm wanting to play moves like this and this to get my pawns on the dark squares. So he activates his rook and threatening to double up. I just move my queen here to pin it, thinking that I can play bishop f1 later and trade off everything. But it turns out not quite everything. So I play bishop f1, and he defends his queens to unpin his rook. So I take the rook, and he takes back, and I'm getting all the trades in, right? This is great. Unfortunately, now this trade is next to impossible to accomplish. How do I trade rooks in this position where his rook is active attacking my pawns and my rook is stuck defending? There's almost no way, really, of trading this last pair of rooks off. And meanwhile, he's just going to create all the threats in the world, and I'm going to be stuck defending. And so this is the problem with my plan, is that I wasn't able to trade as much as I needed. So again, I didn't actually realize this during the game. Like right now, I felt, yes, I'm passive, but I felt like once my bishop gets out again, and once maybe my king can get active and push his rook around, I still felt like there was some hope here. But yeah. So this last move, bishop d7, confused me. I talked to him after the game. I guess he was concerned about me playing b5 and trading off too many of the pawns on the queen side. Yeah. So that's why he played bishop d7, was to stop b5. But okay, so I put another pawn on the dark squares, thinking about maybe move my bishop to one of these diagonals. And he goes rook here, and he's releasing all the tension on this pawn, and I just okay, mission accomplished, right? I've got all my pawns now on the dark squares, but this turns out to be bad. So I'm stuck defending here, and yeah, and now he starts putting this pressure on all my light squares and pinning my light square bishop, and it just looks bad for me. I play king g2, thinking I gotta stop this, right? Then he plays here check, and I guess the best move here is actually to play f3 and give away the pawn, because he can take here, and then I take here. Sorry, he takes my bishop, winning the piece back and winning a pawn. But yeah, I didn't actually see that bishop f3 was still good, even if I don't put my pawn there. So he plays bishop f3, threatening bishop e2, winning the piece. So I have to stop that. I played rook d2, and he wins a pawn. And now that the weak pawn has fallen, all of these pawns are weak, and they're gonna fall just as quickly because my bishop can't help defend, right? His rook is a great attacker, where my bishop can't really defend at all. And yeah. So I don't know. I still feel like now he's threatening this, right? So this has got to be stopped. And yeah, I'm just feeling terrible here about this position because I'm losing all my pawns. My one last little ray of hope was to come here. Maybe I should have resigned right away because he's up like 3 pawns now and he's totally winning. But I keep fighting on, I guess, seeing little rays of hope here and there. Like here, for example, I threatened to win a piece by taking here and then taking here after. So it's yeah, I don't know, little things like this, just the slightest glimmer of hope. But of course, he's strong enough. He realizes my threat and stops it. Again, threatening his rook and coming here. So I come back here again with this idea of doing this. But of course, all he has to do is take my pawn. All that's gone now. And yeah, I'll just flip through the moves towards the end of this game. I really should have resigned already. There's nothing really to do here. And I thought I could take here. When I moved my rook here, I thought I could take here. But here in this position, he's actually threatening to win my bishop. So I couldn't take there right away. I had to move my king. So I moved my king, and now he's threatening yet another pawn. So okay. We just keep going, and he just pushes his h-pawn to the point where I resign. So I finally resigned here. And I had maybe 10-20 minutes, I think, to prepare for the last round. So I resigned my third game, and I was 1.5 out of 3, which was even, going into the last round. So I knew I wasn't anywhere close to the prize money or anything, especially after this game. But yeah, I was exhausted, and happy to have finished the first 2 games as well as I did. But this game was really pretty devastating because, while I gave the 1900 and the 1800 player that I played at the beginning, this 1800 completely wiped me off the board. Apparently, he'd been having some health issues and was almost rated as high as 2000 earlier in his career, and had lost a lot of rating points for health issues in the past year or two. So yeah, he was obviously a really strong player and underrated in my opinion. But yeah. So anyway, this was one of my first tournament losses in a very, very long time. Every game this year that had been rated, I'd either won or drawn. So now I remember what it feels like to lose in a tournament game. But okay. Yeah, I just picked the wrong plan basically, and then didn't ever reconsider my plan, and just played moves almost mindlessly toward the end of that plan without realizing that I would never be able to trade rooks here. So maybe you learned something from that. I'm pretty sure I did. Obviously, the compulsion to trade, thinking that I'm not, like here, trading queens was a terrible idea. Like if I had reconsidered my plan and thought, well, okay, if I was not able to trade this rook, what's the point in trading queens, allowing his rook to get active? Like there was no reason for me to take his queen here, other than the fact that I thought I could trade all the pieces off. But it didn't occur to me that I would never be able to trade off the rooks. So, and then of course this whole thing where he pushes his pawn and I just take it just helps him develop his bishop. I should. There's another big mistake, right? I should never have taken here, allowing his knight to come out and his bishop to come out. This pawn was doing work here against this knight, and if yeah, I guess the best move here is actually just knight g5, working on this here, and I'm not really sure what to do after that. G6 and then d5 here. Interesting. But okay, yeah, the computer finds all these interesting ideas. But yeah, taking here was terrible. Black is completely equalized now, and white has no advantage anymore. But yeah, so these are things that I've learned from this game. Obviously, picking the wrong plan, it's useful to take a step back sometimes in the middle of your plan and say, wait, is this the right plan? Because if I had taken some time and realized that I didn't need to trade queens, I might have been able to hold a draw from here if I hadn't traded queens. I wasn't that much worse here. Anyway, that's that game, and the final round video will be coming up shortly. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.